What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Typotnus here, and welcome back to Night Blights. Now, this is going to be a bit of a different video than it has been in the previous Night Blight episodes because I'm an idiot and my microphone was not turned on for the entirety of the episode. So if I uploaded it as is, you guys would just see 45 minutes of my silence and the Night Blight screaming at me, which I'm sure is entertaining in some aspects, but, you know, I feel like you guys need a bit more. So to begin with, this, as I stated in the last one, the game just keeps getting harder and harder, which I do appreciate. The last episode was the first one I actually lost on at all, but this one was significantly harder, and I'm sure right about now, you're seeing highlights of my various predicaments where it would just go absolutely insane. There were points where I was up in the attic and something would go on the first floor, and I just would not be able to get there in time. The fireplace, the toilet, the closets, everything was moving at such a ridiculously fast pace that there were a lot of times I also dropped out on commentary, so maybe this is best for everyone. But as you can see in a couple of the places, I also had to manage my running significantly. I mean, it was insane the amount of running I had to do at some points, and at some other times, it was just me trying to figure out, okay, which one do I prioritize? Which one can I make it to in time? As I'm sure you'll see at the beginning, the attic is also open at this night. So you can go upstairs and there are a bunch of toys laying around and a bunch of everything. But there's also one more closet upstairs, which is, of course, one more thing to just keep track of. The toilet actually was one of the most difficult things for me to handle this time, no pun intended. But there were multiple times when I was just downstairs, standing at the bottom of the stairs, and by the time I had gotten up to the toilet, it was already 3 clicks in, and I only had 1 click left until the toilet was open completely. The jump scares, as usual, were good. They weren't necessarily frightening, but it got to the point with the jump scares that it was just the noises, because most of the time when I died, it was because the rest of my family had died. So it was just the sudden, I don't know, what is it, guitar chord, harpsichord, something like that. But anyway, it got to the point where I wasn't scared of the Blights. I was more just annoyed by their presence in general, just appearing and disappearing whenever I least expected them. And the other difficulty that I discovered only this past night was that you can't hear 2 floors above you or 2 floors below. So I was doing stuff in the attic and I would not hear one of the Blights under my sister's bed. I believe that actually happened to me twice, where my sister died just because I couldn't hear him, and I'd get downstairs and I'd think it was the first time the Blight was asking for food, and she'd just end up being eaten within seconds, and it was so unforgiving. If you showed up a second too late and the Blight was already climbing on the bed, too bad. You had to just watch as it climbed all the way up the bed and ate your sister. Yeah, and I did somehow manage to save my baby brother every single time, but it was nuts how many times the baby brother was screaming each and every night, each and every try I had. He usually started screaming at least 2 or 3 times. I think every night at about 4 p.m., if only, 4 a.m. was when it got really intense every time. There were multiple times when I just died at like 4:02, 4:03 because something would pop out of a closet or something would pop out from under the bed, or the fireplace would just go dead within seconds, and that was insane. The fireplace didn't actually prove to be as difficult as it was in the previous night, but everything else was extremely hyperactive the entire time. The other thing that proved extremely difficult was toy management through the whole thing, because as you saw in the previous episodes, the toys spawn randomly, and it's all completely up to chance where it's going to end up and where it's going to happen. There are always a bunch of them up in the attic, but that requires climbing up to the attic, grabbing them, and bringing them down, which just involves dropping them down the stairs usually, but it's still quite the trek to get up and get the toys and come back down. So usually what I did immediately after I spawned was I'd run up to the attic, grab a toy or two if they were in sight, and drop them right back down the stairs. Because I'd end up at some points with toys, like I needed something for my sister's room and there were 2 toys down there, and she ended up she ended up needing toys 3 times before 4 a.m. And it was just, I mean, it was a madhouse running back and forth. I'm not sure how I didn't fall asleep for any of them, but there were also points when it'd be just like the garage door would open within 20 seconds, and I would run down and jump up and it would be already open, and I just said, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna just restart the night. So I'd run into the Blights, give in to the darkness. But I just ended up saying, all right, you know what, it's not worth the hassle of me trying to keep track of all these things at once. I'm just going to restart the night. And on the final try that I had, I actually did manage to keep everything in check somehow. The fridge actually proved to be one of the more difficult things, not because of how often it opened, but because whenever it opened, it seemed that something went on upstairs or downstairs. The vents were going off, or the garage door was opening, or the toilet was flushing. Just something was going on that I needed to take care of. But thankfully, I did make it all the way through there with the 3 stars. Now, I know I haven't talked about the stars previously in the other episodes, but the stars are basically given for perfection, for doing the level well. And in each level, if you let out one of the Blights from like the fireplace or the toilet or the fridge or somewhere, then you lose a star, and you can get all the way down to 1 star, I believe, perhaps 0, I don't know. But if you get enough stars, you actually can find a videotape. So that's what I end up, well, you don't find the videotape in the level. You find it in the free play mode afterwards, which also opens up the cinema down below. So after I'd gotten the 3 stars, I went down and got the video, and I'll be showing that to you guys now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that is going to be it for Night Blights. I sure you can see, I'm sure I have it on the screen somewhere, that there is a Saturday night, and I will be playing it. I'm not sure how soon. I'm not sure if I'll be able to finish it up immediately or in the near future, but it will be done. I promise you that. So, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next video. Catch you on the flip side.